guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm here to give you guys a video for Social Work Month. As you all know, I am a licensed master social worker. I'm working towards my clinical license and my doctorate of social work. So you guys know I'm everything social work and we all for it, okay? Now, NASW is the theme for the month, and we're leaders, advocates, and champions. So to all of my colleagues and peers, happy Social Work Month. And today just so happens to be World Social Work Day. So happy Social Work Day to all of you. Now, if you're here and you're subscribing to me or you're just coming across my channel, I suggest that you subscribe because I discuss mental health awareness, lifestyle tips, and professional tips. Now, this video just so happens to focus on social work. So if you're looking to learn more about social work and its profession, or you have no idea about what social work actually is, stay tuned because I'm going to give you all and some more, okay? Now, social work as a profession started out as just assistance and type of grassroots approach. People were helping out immigrants and people in poverty. Now it has evolved, but we still include that because that's what most people think that social workers do. They tie social work to welfare, child support, taking away people's kids, anything that's related to public assistance. Now, I know that most people deal with social work at that level and that's where they're introduced to social work at, but we do way more than that. Social work can actually exist in any setting possible. I'm a medical social worker, so I work in a hospital setting or I could work in a clinical setting like outpatient clinic. Social workers can work in schools. I know you guys are more familiar with guidance counselors and other counselors, school psychologists in the school. Social workers can do that too. You may be familiar with crisis intervention when it's related to people responding to a suicide attempt or homicidal ideation. Social work can do that too. You may be familiar with talking to a case manager when you're dealing with prosthetics and other aids that you may have when you need some rehab or just getting around. Social work does that too. You can talk to a case manager in the environment of a billing issue, insurance, or just a simple complaint when you call the customer service number when you're getting in touch with your insurance, you're having an issue with billing at the hospital or doctor's office. Social workers do that too. You go to the hospital, you need to talk about hospice. You need to talk about long-term care, palliative care, cardiac, oncology, babies, kids. Social work does that too. You can go to the school, university, college, whatever it may be. You want to talk about career options. You need advising. You have a professor. They might just be a social worker. You can do social justice, social policy, public policy, justice in general. Social workers work with police officers. Social workers can be police officers. Social workers can be lawyers. Social workers do that. Anything, any setting you can possibly think of, a social worker can probably do that. Most likely, yeah, we can do that. I'm not saying that to shade any other profession. My LMFT buddies, my LPC buddies, anybody in the counseling profession, mental health counseling, I know we have a lot of similarities, but social work is so diverse. We're generalized, and that's a plus. We don't specialize in just children or families or just counseling or just therapy. We can do those things, but we are on a basis of micro, meso, macro. It can be community-based, individual-based, family-based, even on an international level. Social work can reach those levels. That's why we're so diverse, because we're not in a box. We're not sectioned off. And I think that's why I essentially chose social work. Now, I didn't come to social work just as, oh, I want to be a social worker one day. It took me a little while to stumble upon the path of social work, but I am so grateful that I did, because I'm happy in just knowing that I can help anybody or anything. Like, I could be a veterinary social worker. I can do financial social work. There are so many things that I can do just with a certification, with my license and being a social worker. I could basically have 50 jobs if I wanted to, but I'm happy to be a social worker. And I know a lot of people just know social work on a very small basis, a very small level, but I hope that I have educated you to know that you may even want to be in the field now, that you know, that you realize that you can do anything with this degree. Now, let's not forget the most important part. I did mention certifications, but licensure is the only way that you can practice in various settings. You have to be a licensed social worker, a professional social worker, to be recognized in the field. You can't just be doing case management and call yourself a social worker. Title retention is so important, because I have a lot of peers that I didn't even know were social workers, simply for the fact because they like to say they're a therapist or a psychotherapist or a counselor, because they don't want to be stigmatized as doing welfare or case management. They want to be known for their title in a larger scale. So that's why it's important that we follow the right steps in order to be called what we're basically doing in everyday life. I'm a social worker. I will always refer to myself as a social worker, even when I work in private practice and be providing psychotherapy, other services. As you can see on my intro, I am proud to say that I am a social worker and a life coach. I will not replace my title as being just a life coach. I am a social worker, and I will never deny that anytime. I provide therapy, I provide counseling, I provide case management, but I will never say I am a therapist over being a social worker. I am a social worker that does these things. So, being that people claim to be a social worker when they're actually not, they just provide social services in like an agency, but they're not functioning as a social worker. They just provide case management, so they want to associate themselves as being a social worker, and that is frustrating. And also being linked to just being in a welfare agency or public assistance agency. People don't like to claim being a social worker. So hopefully in the future, we can work on advocating with NASW and ASWB, being strict with guidelines for title retention, because it's very problematic when people have to claim just being a therapist or being a counselor when they're actually just a social worker, because they feel bad when people say, oh, here's the social worker. I am not just a social worker. I am the social worker. In fact, I like to call myself Social Work Bae. And you can find that phrase on some of my t-shirts in my apparel line that I have branded specifically for social workers and Social Work Month. So the definition of a social worker is so broad, it's so versatile, it's so diverse. And I'm proud. I don't know how many other people can say that in the field, but I'm proud. I may be overworked at times, but if you create your own lane and you find your niche and you do that, you won't be at work just doing a job. You will have a passion and it will shine through your work. And it is so relieving and so rewarding to know that you're out here helping people and improving their lives. Social workers change lives, y'all. I know that nurses have a license plate that says nurses save lives. Well, social workers change lives. So, hey, we work together, but hey, I changed your life. Anyway, also, I wanted to remind you guys that the giveaway ends this week. So if you have not entered or if you have not completed all the steps in order to receive an entry, you can do that until Friday. And I wanted to make sure you guys are aware that I have a product release at the end of this month. Now, I know some of you know what it is, but let's not spill the secret to everybody. Stay tuned to my website and my social media. You can find me at Serene Ambition across all social media platforms, including this channel. I will be announcing this at the end of the month, and I am so excited because, again, this is something that can help people and change lives, impact lives, and it has something to do with mental health awareness. So stay tuned for that. Also, stay up to date with everything social work this month. NESW released a video that's also on my Facebook page and Twitter. I have the links for those on those two platforms, and you can also go to the website, which is where I purchased this shirt. And NESW has a store for everything social work month. So if you're a social worker, go reward yourself, or go tell someone to go buy you a gift. Also, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, you can go purchase social work apparel from my Serene Ambition store. Link is below, and link is also in every bio that I have on social media. So you go check that out. If you feel like you're a social work bae, or you have the heart of a social worker, or you want to define the definition of a social worker in everything that you do every day, all day, you go buy you a tee from Serene Ambition. So thank you guys. We're going to advocate for title retention. We're going to celebrate social workers, and we're going to destigmatize the role and title of social worker. We are not just a social worker. You are the social worker. All right. See you next time, you guys.